Every culture on Earth tells the same terrifying story. The day water swallowed the world whole. From Noah's Ark to the Aboriginal Dreamtime, civilizations that never met somehow share. Identical nightmares of apocalyptic floods. What if I told you that over 500 cultures across 6 continents have preserved nearly identical accounts of a great deluge that wiped out humanity? Stories so similar, they describe the same warning signs, the same chosen survivors, and the same dove returning with an olive branch. Today, we're diving deep into the most persistent mystery in human history. Are these myths? Memories of a real event that nearly ended our species, or something far stranger? Let's start with what we know. The flood narrative isn't just biblical, it's universal. The Sumerian Epic of Gilgamesh, written 4,000 years ago, tells of Utnapishtim who builds an ark to survive. Divine wrath. Hindu texts describe Manu's boat riding out cosmic dissolution. The Aztec Codex. Kaimalpopoca speaks of Nahuatl, the world destroyed by water. But here's where it gets fascinating. These aren't vague similarities. They're precise parallels. Dr. David Montgomery, geologist at University of Washington, has cataloged these shared elements. Divine warning, righteous survivor. Animal pairs, a massive vessel landing on a mountain, and most remarkably, a bird sent out to find dry land that returns with vegetation. The Aboriginal Australians tell of the rainbow serpent flooding the earth. The Hopi speak of the first world ending in universal flood. Norse mythology describes Bergelmir surviving the deluge. Of Ymir's blood, the Inca chronicled Yinu Pachacuti, the water that overturns the world. These cultures were separated by vast oceans, mountain ranges, and millennia. They had no contact, no shared language, no common religious system. Yet their flood accounts align with startling precision. So we face an impossible puzzle. How do you explain identical stories across isolated civilizations? Traditional archaeology suggests these are merely symbolic myths, metaphors for spiritual rebirth or seasonal flooding. But this explanation crumbles under scrutiny. Why would unconnected peoples independently create the same specific details? The same animals, the same boat measurements, the same mountain landings? Dr. William Ryan, marine geologist at Columbia University, argues we're looking at this backwards. Instead of asking why cultures share flood myths, we should ask what catastrophic event could create such universal trauma that it embedded itself into humanity's collective memory? The answer might lie beneath the Black Sea. In 1993, Ryan and Walter Pittman discovered evidence of a massive flood event around 5,600 BCE. As glaciers melted the Mediterranean, sea breached a natural dam, sending water cascading into the Black Sea basin with the force of 400 Niagaras. This wasn't gradual flooding, it was catastrophic. Water levels rose 6 inches daily for months. Coastal settlements were swallowed in weeks. Populations that had lived peacefully for generations became refugees overnight, spreading their trauma stories across Eurasia. But the Black Sea event only explains European and Middle Eastern myths. What about the Americas? The Pacific Islands? Australia? Enter the Younger Dryas period, a mysterious climate reversal 12,900 years ago that plunged Earth back into Ice Age conditions overnight. Something triggered this event, something that could explain floods, fires, and mass extinctions across continents. Graham Hancock, author of Magicians of the Gods, points to the comet impact hypothesis. Evidence suggests a massive fragmenting comet struck Earth's ice sheets, instantly melting billions of tons of ice, creating global flooding while simultaneously triggering the Younger Dryas. Cooling. Geological evidence supports this. The Carolina Bays, mysterious elliptical depressions across the southeastern United States, all oriented northwest to southeast, exactly what you'd expect from a fragmenting comet impact. Platinum anomalies in sediment layers. Nanodiamonds, formed under extreme pressure, burn megafauna bones across North America. Here's the moment everything clicks. What if the global flood myths aren't myths at all, but humanity's oldest news reports? Consider this timeline. 12,900 years ago, cosmic impact triggers massive floods and climate chaos. Scattered human populations Still, primarily oral societies preserve these traumatic memories through storytelling. Over millennia, these survival accounts become sacred narratives, but the core truth remains. Our species nearly went extinct in a global catastrophe. The flood myths aren't separate stories. They're fragments of the same event, preserved by the survivors who witnessed the day the sky literally fell. This explains the universal elements. The divine warning becomes celestial omens visible. Worldwide, the chosen survivors represent the scattered bands who found high ground or boats. The animals reflect desperate attempts to preserve breeding populations. The mountain, landings mark where survivors eventually regrouped. Even the dove with the olive branch makes sense. These birds range across continents, and olive trees are among the first to sprout new growth after devastation. The global flood myths represent humanity's oldest collective memory, not of divine punishment, but of cosmic catastrophe. They're our species' way of remembering the day we almost didn't make it, whether triggered by comet impact, massive volcanic eruption, or multiple catastrophic events. Something around 12,900 years ago reset human civilization. The myths aren't folklore, they're eyewitness testimony passed down through 500 generations. This realization changes everything about how we view ancient stories. They're not primitive superstitions. They're sophisticated attempts to preserve critical survival information. Our ancestors weren't recording fiction. They were documenting the most important event in human history. The day the sky fell, but humanity